For 27 years, a Romani fortuneteller in Czechoslovakia sheltered 58 blacklisted poets, painters, and historians inside her caravan, using tarot as cover. In the flicker of a candle, a worn wheel of fortune cards slid aside to reveal a trapdoor where a wanted playwright slept. How did a deck of cards become a coded language that fooled the secret police? And what happened when the Qabbalistic symbols she whispered began to predict the regime's own collapse? The year was 1961. Czechoslovakia had become a locked garden under Moscow's frost, its borders stitched with barbed wire and its conversations bugged by the Státní bezpečnost, the St. B. In that pervasive silence, a Romani woman we will call Magda rolled her faded caravan into the outskirts of Brno. She was 34, widowed, and by official records, illiterate, just another gypsy shadow the state chose not to see. As a Romani, she faced double erasure. The regime banned her language and forced assimilation, yet that blindness became her shield. Patrols waved her through checkpoints, assuming a fortune-teller harmless. They did not know that, within the carved numerals of the cards, she encoded grid references from abandoned railway maps. But Magda's grandfather, a horse trader who had traveled to the Levant, taught her the secret pathways of the Qabbalah. He mapped the 22 letters of the Hebrew alphabet onto the 22 major arcana of a tarot deck he had smuggled past customs. To the villagers who paid her few coins for fortunes, she was a superstitious wanderer. To the blacklisted, she was a silent switchboard of survival. Her caravan was a labyrinth of deception. A false panel behind the moon card hid a narrow berth padded with old coats. The hanged man masked a compartment for forged papers. When she laid a spread for a client, the arrangement was also a map. The tower meant the secret police were within a kilometer. The star meant water and safe passage north. The hermit meant a locked shed where a scholar could vanish for a week. By 1963, a banned poet named Gypsy climbed aboard after his manuscript of love poems was seized and burned. She laid 3 cards, the hermit, the sun, the world, and pointed to the trapdoor. He stayed 9 months, writing by candlelight, his words later carried out in the lining of a coat. Among those she hid was Eva, a historian of suppressed uprisings who transcribed Magda's oral code into a cipher key. Together they built a network spanning 7 towns. Eva later said the caravan was a library on wheels, its shelves invisible. Through that decade, painters, historians, and jazz musicians found her. Each arrived with a story the state had erased. She gave them new identities scrawled in tarot code on cigarette papers. The Qabbalistic tree became a railway beneath the regime's nose. Sephiroth as stations, paths as switch lines. Beth was the butcher's cellar in Nitra, Gimel the priest's shed outside Olomouc. Magda's genius was misdirection. She told St. B informants that the cards foretold Soviet triumph, whispering of Saturn's chain when patrols tightened. They laughed at her mystic babble, but the chained ones heard the route to freedom. In 1974 came the closest call. An agent named Novak requested a reading, suspicious after an informer's tip. As he sat, Magda saw the death card flip reversed, her signal for hold breath. Beneath the table, 4 scholars pressed against the hidden walls, hearts loud as hammers. She predicted the agent's promotion with a crooked smile. He left pleased, unaware that the caravan exhaled dissidence the moment his boots hit gravel. Novak's visit was not the only threat. In 1979, a neighbor's child nearly opened the moon panel. Magda distracted him with a tale of the dancing devil. Such daily tightropes wore her thin. The years ground on. The iron curtain rusted from within. Magda's hair silvered, but the deck remained worn smooth by anxious thumbs. She moved her caravan with the seasons, always one spread ahead of surveillance. In 1981, when a painter suffered a lung illness, She read the Empress reversed and smuggled him to a country doctor using a funeral procession as cover. The funeral procession moved slowly past red flags. Mourners sang, and the painter breathed free air for the first time in months. By the late 80s, the samizdat presses she supplied had thickened into a quiet avalanche. The cards now spoke of the ice breaking, a phrase from the Wheel of Fortune's hidden meaning. On November 17, 1989, student protests in Prague triggered a national strike. Magda heard the news from a radio hidden under a death card. She knew the time had come. She gathered her surviving charges, now 40 of the original 58, in a frost-laced clearing at dawn. She placed the final spread, the sun, the star, and the world upright. She said, "The curse written in lead is lifted." One by one, they stepped from the caravan into cold blue light. A painter who had not seen sky in a decade wept. The historian carried a manuscript that would later be published under his own name. As the Velvet Revolution unfolded, not one of her hidden names appeared in the police files. The cards had burned to ash in her stove the night before, but the code lived in the minds she saved. If these erased stories deserve to survive as her cards did, lend your hand to the deck, like, subscribe, and tell us in the comments which hidden name should be turned over next. History wrote the revolution in the names of presidents and poets it remembered, but the woman who dealt the cards from the shadows was never printed in the margins she protected.